On again, everybody. Now I'm basically gonna talk about Elon Musk. Basically, Elon has been a big part of he was a big part of Donald Trump's movement, and basically him and others like Sam Altman and stuff like that, right? They're going to be the early faces of the beginnings of this fourth industrial / fifth industrial revolution, bringing forth AI and stuff like that. But if you see right here in this collage, right, at least in this section right here, I basically want to talk about Tesla and what you see right here with Tesla. Tesla is a company that has been basically taking over the EV, vehicles sector in America, because there are others that are, in China and stuff like that, that are doing, just as good, probably in my opinion. But Tesla has been taking over. I believe they recently came out with a EV semi tractor. You will have to look it up, or maybe I could pull it up if I don't forget. But with this Tesla logo, right, as you see with the Tesla logo, it looks like it's shaped like a UFO beaming down. Because of all the different companies that Elon has, right, I could see that UFO as being like I could see that UFO symbol, the T in Tesla, as a way of it's beaming down the consciousness of the people, of humans, right? And when you see Tesla, you flip Tesla backwards, you get all set. With all set, you could change the AL to all to L, and you could just leave set as it is, right? So this basically will let you know that you're dealing with, from the L section, it's a god or deity. When you're talking about Semitic, Hebrew, Canaanite. When you talk about Set, these are basically Egyptian gods. Now, Set, you talk about basically an instigator of confusion and destroyer. So basically, you have a mediator. With all Set, you have someone that is a god of confusion, destruction, and he's a destroyer. And he's basically like a mediator. One of the other companies that they use, right? One of the other companies that Elon Musk has that could play part as a mediator to the mind, right, is, as you see right here, because you see like the whole aspect of how Satan would be, right? One of many. It'll be one, but it'd be many. But it would be basically Neuralink. Neuralink would be basically a hive mind, the IoT connection. It'll be a guide to the people. And I don't know exactly what verse that is, but the verse that talks about, for there is one God and one mediator between God and man, the man Christ Jesus. But here's the thing, though. It won't be the real Jesus. Neuralink will basically be like the mediator tech. That would basically be the instigator of obstruction. I should have went to that too, because basically all Set, as you see, I got the black lines showing connections. It basically means, in Hindi, basically means obstruction, like an obstacle. So the mediator will basically be the tech that will be like the false Jesus Christ. It'll be the mediator between fleshly man and God, which will be your soul. It'll basically be like a gatekeeper from your mind. I mean, it'll be the gatekeeper from your soul in your body, because it'll basically like control your mind. Basically how you see with this Freemasonry symbol right here. As you see at the top of the Freemasonry symbol, which Space Force looks exactly like it, right? The top of the symbol, it looks like an eye, like an all-seeing eye, or you can call it Polaris. Now, from there, you see two angles that's basically coming down, like two arms. That could be, the projection of light coming onto the false world, or bringing up this physical world that's basically trapped within the firmament. But within those two corners, there's like a duality factor also within this world. So you think of stuff like the sun and the moon, the yin and the yang. That's the two sides right there. But then when you go further down, like the little arrow portion that's going down, that's like representing like your most low, like Sheol or something like that, great deep or something like that. So, and then the G is simply, in my opinion, it's just showing you like the gateway between God and man, or the most high and the most low, and everything like that. But yeah, when you see Tesla is very, and then it got these logos right here. You see the Ankh, you see the Christ logo, basically the Christian cross, or how you want to look at it. And then you got the Antichrist symbol, which is basically represents the 666 Antichrist, which is basically, you see that it looks like a trident, right? It looks like a trident, and the trident represents it's like a trinity: body, mind, soul. And from this angle, they basically, if you read the theistic Satanism, they basically look at it as the ID, which is probably who you originally are, I guess, and then your ego, then your super ego. Where I guess they look at that as another aspect of like body, mind, and soul. I put right here, I'm the GOAT, because I look at this as because you could see on the Tesla symbol again, it looks like a goat with horns, and at the bottom, instead of the UFO part like beaming down, that could be like a bird. So in my opinion, that represents, like the goat, like in my opinion, like the Baphomet. Also, Elon, he took over Twitter. And then he rebranded Twitter with the name of X. And you think about the how Jesus, I guess, died or whatever. He was basically staked onto a cross. But it shows that this cross with the dove supposedly symbolizes the peace and love that believers receive when they accept Christ into their hearts. The cross represents the sacrifice made for humanity, while the dove represents peace and love. But I think it's the opposite for the purpose that we're talking about. I don't think it's going to be for peace and love. I think it's going to be for hate and destruction, which if you look at, if I can show it, let's see. If you look at this Neuralink, what does it symbolize? It looks like a cross. That logo, it looks like a cross, but it also looks like the number 8, which the number 8 is basically representing the Ouroboros, which the Ouroboros, it represents a snake that's eating itself, but it's basically symbolizing like eternity, cyclicity, and rebirth. Basically, like the same cycles basically coming back, and they rhyming, and if they not, they're rhyming and repeating itself, and it's almost like, we're hitting like a new high in technology again that's going to rule the earth, but then there's going to be something that could potentially end it once more. Maybe another war, or world war, or world war, or something of that nature, which is going to, so you got all these other logos, realism, uh, good God, I think that's a swastika. And then you got the OpenAI logo, which is kind of like simple, basically like symbols that kind of represents that in a sense. So let's see. Yeah, about the Antichrist 666, the relations to the Antichrist 666 is that when you go into the English gematria represents, it shows like a number code and stuff like that, right? But when you look up the English gematria, computer 666, you can find computer under the number 666 in the English gematria. So if you're thinking like, who is your main Antichrist villain going to be in the future that's to come? In my opinion, it's going to be artificial intelligence. You could see it with the movies, The Matrix, The Terminator. Even in the movies back then, I think it was, I can't remember. But the reason why a part of this alien talk right here with the ufology and stuff, realism, they had the first movies talking about gray aliens was around, at least when it got popular was around 1960 or in the 1960s. So, and then when you talk about the aliens, as far as artificial intelligence, that went way further. As far as like the robots being like aliens and stuff, that was before the grays. The thing with recycled technology is that they've basically destroyed history, and they've made it to where people don't know that this history has always been here. You're talking about electric vehicles and all this stuff, electrical batteries and artificial intelligence, all this automation stuff. Like, this stuff always been here. It's just that they kept it secret from the public, for simple reasons. Like with Nikola Tesla, he was trying to make basically like a worldwide wireless system, like that, to where you could have free electrical energy. And basically JP Morgan shut it down because I guess they figured that it wasn't going to work, or because gas and all that stuff became popularized, so they basically shut it down. When we know that they probably shut it down because they didn't want to give out free energy. They didn't want that free energy to be out there to the people. So if you got free electricity and you got damn near free energy for like driving and stuff like that, that's going to destroy the banks. You don't need banks if you got stuff like that. So they basically ended his parade, but at the same time, they probably stole his technology of what he had, because he didn't even invent free energy, but he had the concept, of what it was like, right? And you see this relation with Nikola Tesla being called Commander X, and then you talk about the free energy and the white dove. Well, Elon is basically showing that he is that connection, the white dove and the X. That's kind of like why I put that in here. And showing the Wardenclyffe, and then with this Wardenclyffe tower, which is what he used for that wireless, global wireless system, as far as like communication and power. You look at it, what does it look like? It looks like an upside down Tesla symbol, or it looks like the Antichrist symbol, right? Basically, Now, I don't know if Nikola Tesla was considered an evil person, but they all had something to, do with being connected to these people, Freemasons and stuff like that, right? So yeah, now with Elon, working with NASA and SpaceX, look at, it's crazy how they can get all of these contracts. How SpaceX, Starlink, how they can get all of these contracts from these governments, right? Because they're private companies. So if you got a private company, because people been paying taxes and money probably for the last 50, 60 years, right? Dealing with NASA. NASA basically, or allegedly, faked the moon landing, and all of a sudden destroy the technology and act like they can't go back to the moon no more. Now, who destroys something when they figured out how to do it? So the people been paying for so long, right? But now you got people that's starting to figure out that maybe NASA was a scam, because they was never able to really give, because they call NASA never a straight answer. So they was never really able to show people any progress throughout the years. So people started to figure out, like, hold on, this might be fake. So what do you do to try to get away from having to pay people all these years from this scam that you all have done, which is basically money laundering? You create a situation where, okay, Donald Trump's the president, but you create United States Space Force. And you have NASA, but then since Trump basically is running that, or he opened it up or whatever, now you give all your contracts to these guys, SpaceX, because if you give them over to a private entity, now when the people really start to figure out, now there's no way that you could possibly get your money back. You've been duped. And that's how a lot of these companies are going to be in the future, right? With Google, Amazon, all of Elon Musk products, with Tesla and SpaceX and stuff, Microsoft, whoever, Sony, whoever you could think of. These companies are going to make themselves privatized, and they're going to be the massive corporations in the future, and they're basically going to start running the world even more as far as what they're doing now. So you're still gonna have your governments, but you're gonna have the actual corporations leading everything, because they basically will all be like privatized and stuff like that. But yeah, let me see. But yeah, Elon, now they haven't came out with it yet. You got this xenotheology that's basically, it's like a study of like alien religious systems and theologies and stuff like that. And it's part of the Christian theology. But they want to bring in aliens into the forefront to keep people still guessing and stuff, right? With the Space Force and SpaceX and Starlink and all that. But all that is a part of ufology, realism, And it's funny when you look at Elon Musk's name, right? Elon can basically stand for alien, which is just another way of kind of like saying God or whatever. But then Elon Musk can also stand for alien musket, which is just another way of basically saying basically a weapon that's not of this world, damn near. Or it's, what an alien musket is, like a gun, whatever. So he's basically he's trying to get into the minds of the people. And he's a part of also he was a part of OpenAI too with Chat GPT. Him and Sam Altman, quote unquote, don't like each other, but you gotta do that to basically deflect from the people, so the people won't see that, okay, all of them are coming together really to kick off this artificial intelligence takeover. Let me see. And then Elon Musk, he's also he's making a bunch, like in Memphis, right? The thing behind Memphis, right? In history, because Egypt is basically they basically came before America, but they have the same similarities and domination and stuff like that, right? In Lower Egypt, there was a place called Memphis, and Memphis was very technologically advanced. They were probably more so technologically advanced as far as like in agriculture. But think about it, Lower Egypt back in the day, like if you look at Lower Egypt now, it's at the top of Egypt. But back in history, if the maps was like flipped upside down, you would see that it was considered Lower Egypt. Look at today, we have Memphis, Tennessee, but we got Memphis in the United States. And Memphis is considered a city that's basically down south. And what Elon Musk is going to do, he's going to make Memphis highly technological. But I'm not saying in the sense of the whole city. I'm talking about in the sense of what he wants to do. So he's going to build these, or I ain't going to say build because he already got them built. But he ended up getting a permit. The EPA or whatever you call these people, they don't care about the ozone layer anymore. They let them pass. And you got the mayors and these big guys who basically been bought out in Memphis, right? So they basically allow Elon Musk to open up his supercomputers, his data centers with the company XAI or whatever it's called. Yeah, XAI, basically in Memphis. So, and I know a lot of the people have been complaining down there too about it, but it's nothing that they'll be able to do. But yeah, he's gonna have it running down there, to jumpstart what he's doing, and he's already got them running. I think it's like 35 turbines that he have going right now, and the main people, the mayor, all them, they've been bought out. So yeah, but yeah. So, but this is the goal. This is what they really want to do. They really want to put you in a position to where you're fully condemned once again. Put the chip inside you, make it to where, you're highly condemned, to where you may have perks and physicality, but you'll be a part of the demiurge, which is basically like the merge of, man and physicality. You'll be fully condemned. I don't know if they'll be able to recycle you, but maybe they will. If they're able to put something in you to where they could transfer your consciousness or whatever. But that's the main goal, cyborg transhumanism. On the Democratic side, they had it to where you had a transgenderism to kind of like kickstart it. That's light work to get people, baited with the fact of my body, my choice or whatever. But they don't realize that we don't own nothing in the flesh. In reality, we don't even own our own bodies. This is just a rented, it's just rented, for the time that we are here. However, you do want to safeguard it as much as possible, But then it went from transgenderism to transhumanism, which is going to be the main thing in the future, right? Won't be. It may still be all this crazy crap, BBLs and all this stuff going, but what they want to do is they want to get into your mind once again, so they could become the mediator, to make you think that, you know, that's the Christ that you're looking for, you know, because you won't be able to buy, sell, or bought, you know, you won't be able to buy, sell any goods, you know, if you ain't got that chip in you, right? Let's see. In ufology, that's just like, you know, biology is like the study of life. But this ufology is basically the study of UFOs, which is what I get from this logo once again. I know I'm going back to it, but I want to talk about this realism real briefly. Let me see. Yeah, when you look at realism, right, don't it remind you of the word realism? But is it really realism? Is it really real? You know, it's up for you to decide. In my opinion, aliens are not real. But realism basically is a UFO religion founded in the 1970s by France. In 1970s France by Claude Vollerain, if I'm saying his name right, now known as Rel. Let me see. When I look at realism, I also see, you know, Ra, like Amin Ra, and I also see El, when, you know, as stated when they talk about Elohim. And then that's the realism logo right there, which is basically like that swastika. If I'm saying it right, I think that's a swastika logo. Damn, I hope I'm saying it right. But then you got the whole 6-pointed star, like the Star of David, I believe. So it's a lot going on with that logo. But yeah, man, it teaches extraterrestrial species known as the Elohim created humanity using their advanced technology. Are there advanced species in the world? In my opinion, yes, there are. Let me see. In atheistic religion, it holds that the Elohim have historically been mistaken for gods. It claims that throughout history, the Elohim have created 40 Elohim human hybrids who have served as prophets, preparing humanity for news about their origins. Among them are the Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad, the Real himself, the 40th and final prophet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Only thing I know is that there's basically, we basically are being like controlled in a sense by the powers that be of this world, and they are of the flesh. And you got people like Jesus and all of them who basically came down and you know, basically live like a human experience in a sense. What I see from, let me see. Yeah, what I see is that they basically going to push, they're going to continue to try to push this alien agenda to try to, you know, to keep people thinking that there's some green aliens or grays up in the sky, stuff like that, when really it's basically artificial intelligence. The real aliens are basically in pig skin. They're basically going to be in, they basically are in flesh, plastics, metals, you know, pig skin, you know, some of them probably look like you and all of that. Let me see. Like when I was saying that the first grays were being talked about in the 1960s, here are some of the first alien movies, right? I'm going to look at this one, The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. An early influential example of non-AI aliens in the film's Humanoid Alien, or is the film's Humanoid Alien. Klaatu and his powerful robot, Gert. Gert is a machine from another world, but he serves a biological alien master. And I guess these are different. I don't want to go to them. They might be videos or something like that. But yeah. But do y'all know how like Elon, he always talk about what it's gonna take to like go to Mars, right? So if Mars is like actually in quote unquote space, right? The thing about it is if we live within a firmament, right, and can't nothing leave the firmament, right? Everything that has been casted past the layers of the firmament, our density levels of basically who makes us who we are, we won't be able to go past, the dome, if that make any sense. They've tried countless times, trying to use their spaceships and stuff to try to blast past it. They try to use ways to try to like explode themselves past it, and they just can't get through it. Because you can't go into quote unquote space with who we are right now. Everything down here won't be able to succeed. It won't be able to make it past. So basically we will have to change like who we are in a sense, right? But I'm talking about Elon. He always talk about trying to go to Mars, right? So with Warner Von Braun, he had this book. In this book, I'm gonna click on it. He had this book called Project Mars, and he basically talks about Elon Musk in the book. Almost like he knew exactly. It's almost like he predicted the future regarding Elon and stuff like that. As you see right here, scientists predicted Elon Musk's Mars mission in 1948. A scientist predicted in 1948 that an Elon would lead humans to Mars. Basically, let me see. In the book titled The Mars Project, German scientist Warner von Braun wrote that the red planet will go on to be governed by an Elon. After the page was recently shared online, people suggested a connection with this Elon and Elon Musk, who is researching how humans can travel to Mars. Let's see. Is that all that's in this little article right here? But that's basically what it is showing right there. Like, I don't know why they would show such a short thing. You can go look it up yourselves. I showed you the book. It shows, it shows it all in there. I wish I could show it faster, but I'm not able to. But it was a lot of stuff that happened back in the day to where a lot of Germans, right? I think around the time, when Hitler was doing his thing in Germany, I believe, to where it seemed like Germany lost to the United States. But what happened was a lot of scientists, now you can look it up now, and this is alleged, in entertainment. But a lot of Germans basically came over to the States, and they've been taking over a lot of things. They've been taking over a lot of things, and the Germans have always been real innovative with a lot of their technologies and stuff that they do, right? So let me show, I'm gonna go see if I can show something based on like electric vehicles. Worth the wait, or worth the watt. A brief history of the electric car, 1830 to present. The first electric cars appeared long before the earliest gas autos, and the history of electric cars is littered with innovative takes on four-wheel transit. Electric cars have been around a lot longer than today's Tesla, even the General Motors EV1 of the late 1990s. In fact, electric cars appeared long before the internal combustion sort, and dreamers have never stopped trying to make them work both on the road and as a business proposition. A lack of historical perspective sometimes leads to misunderstandings of how things came to be as they are now. So let's take a long view of the road that got us here. And I'm not going to take a long view. I'm just going to show you that back then they basically had these electrical vehicles already in suit. Like, who knows? Have they been waiting for somebody like Elon to come so they can, bring these things out to the world? Because they've always recycled history and technology from the people, and over time they do something to where they kind of like erase history out and then people don't understand that, oh, there was a piece of history that was taken out, and then we get to this point where we think everything is new, but it's not necessarily new. It's basically recycled, basically just recycled technology, In the 1830s, he built, we start with the 1830s with Scotland's Robert Anderson, whose motorized carriage was built sometime between 1832 and 1839. Batteries, galvanic cells were not yet rechargeable, so it was more parlor trick. Okay. But yeah, they've always had these batteries. Let's see. But yeah, man, they've always had this stuff. They've always had it. And that's talking about 1830, That's talking about 1830. This talking about 1900 or 1820s. So yeah, man, it's always been here. They're just bringing things back out into the world. As you see right here, in the golden age, the 1890s, the 1910s, they had, look at that. That's an electrical, almost like a pallet jack or something, but I guess it was like a rail truck or whatever. They had electrical powered, battery powered taxis at the end of the 19th century. Yeah, so they've always had these things. Okay, I pushed that. Okay. And then you had the dark age of electrical vehicles, 1920s to 1950s. It began to, the electric car began to lose its position in the automobile market. Yeah, because they wanted to put people on gas and diesel, so we could pay all this high ass money for to fuel our vehicles. Depending on if you got a truck. If you got like a regular little mid-sized truck, you might be paying between $100-$200 a week, depending on how far you travel to go to work and stuff, right? So they've really done their job as far as like sticking it in us, pause. But yeah, man, and this is what it's gonna be. But the thing now, Elon, he basically gonna come back out with this stuff. He's coming back out with it, and others are as well. But they're gonna do things to quote unquote enhance your experience with the driving, right? They're gonna come out with, there's gonna be different subscriptions of what it is that the car can unlock and all this crazy stuff. And yeah, they're just gonna continue to find ways to make people pay and pay and pay and pay. And then you're going to have your first trillionaire CEOs or multi-trillionaire CEOs. And you're going to have companies that's going to be in the hundreds of trillions of dollars. It's gonna get wicked out here. But yeah, man, I hope people enjoy the information. I try to do what I can. It's hard to find like the time to really, buckle down and to be like 25, I said 25, to be like 24/7 on this stuff. Because I am very busy in my own right. I have a child that I raise. I also work, long hours and stuff like that. And then there's many things that you can get into afterwards. I work around the house. Right now I'm kind of like working on this car, trying to fix it back up. You know, work around the yard, just little simple stuff that kind of gets in the way of just sitting down and, being a couch potato. But I mean, it's best that we, critically, internally know things from within to get ourselves right in this world. Like, you don't always need books and stuff to get the gist of things. Like the power that we have with these supercomputers in our hands, right? I'm talking about the cell phone. The cell phone is basically, it's like a new version of like the black cube of Saturn. It's here to basically control time, space, and matter, manipulate the people, whatever. But if you are smart and intelligent enough, you can use it for your particular advantage, and at least in the sense of trying to gain like knowledge and stuff, so you can have the power within you. Don't let these phones and stuff control you. You control it. But yeah, man, that's all that I have. I hope everybody liked it. Yeah, man, peace.